F1 drivers have said many things about Lewis Hamilton, but not all of it is necessarily good. One driver said that he's the best, while another driver said Lewis is an idiot. This is what F1 drivers think of Lewis Hamilton. And we have to start with Lando Norris, as he compared Lewis to some of F1's all-time greats. You always hear the stories of when there was Ayrton Senna or Michael Schumacher, and in this period, it's been Lewis. You hear about the battles he's had, and those guys had with Alain Prost and Nigel Mansell. In 20 or 30 years' time, it's going to be the same about Lewis, racing Seb Vettel and Max Verstappen. But despite how great Hamilton is, when Norris was asked whether he can defeat Hamilton in the same car, Norris replied, "There's a tough question. I've got to say yes. By no means would it be easy. Lewis is one of the greatest ever. But if you want to do well, you've got to believe you're better than the rest." Damn, that is some statement, Lando. But while Norris might be confident in defeating Lewis in the same vehicle, Alonso failed to do so, which even deteriorated their relationship to a point where there might be no coming back. Coming off a championship-winning season, Fernando Alonso partnered with rookie Lewis Hamilton at McLaren Racing in their lone season as teammates. Hostility between them reached a point where they were not on talking terms for months, after Alonso held up Hamilton for 10 seconds in the pits during the Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying session. Lewis even said that his relationship with Alonso was toxic, since it demoralized the entire team, but insists that things have improved with time. But apparently, Alonso doesn't agree with this. It was an easy conclusion to make of the 2007 season, and we respected each other a lot and understood each other a lot too. Now we have this respectful relationship, but maybe it's colder than it used to be. We have different opinions on different things. Lewis has a different style to many of us, and that separates us. Wow. Clearly, these two are not the best of friends. And it turns out their savage rivalry didn't end there. Alonso also referred to his former teammate as an idiot who only knows how to drive and start in first, after Hamilton turned in on the Spanish driver at the start of the 2022 Belgian Grand Prix. Alonso then later apologized for the outbursts, but didn't fully accept responsibility, saying, "When you say something against a British driver, there's a huge media involvement after that. But anyway, yes, I apologize. I'm not thinking what I said. The heat of the moment, the adrenaline of the moment, fighting finally for the top two. Top three made me say those comments that I should not say," Alonso said. However, that wasn't the only dig Fernando took on Lewis, as he also compared Red Bull's Max Verstappen's world titles with Lewis's 7 championships, saying, "I have a lot of respect for Lewis, but still it's different when you win 7 world titles, when you only have to fight with your teammate. Then I think a championship has less value than when you have fewer titles, but have had to fight against other drivers with equal or even better material," Alonso said. However, Hamilton didn't seem fazed by the remark, even going so far as to tweet a photo of himself on a podium in 2007, flanked by Alonso. Damn, no wonder McLaren didn't win the Constructors' Championship with them. But while Fernando's digs at Hamilton might be attributed to his tenacity and competitiveness, another driver keeps the 7-time world champion in high respect, especially with all the dreadful things that happened in the past. The Monegasque driver Charles Leclerc expressed sympathy for the British driver's struggles during the 2022 Formula 1 season, admitting that the Mercedes driver's poor season was not his fault. He even went further to defend the 7-time world champion and express his support after former Formula 1 champion Nelson Piquet publicly disrespected Hamilton following his clash with Verstappen in 2021 F1 season. "Knowing Lewis since I arrived in Formula 1, he's always been extremely respectful to me and everyone that he meets. Those values should be the standard towards anybody around the world. The comments made toward Lewis should not be tolerated, and we should continue to push for a more diverse and inclusive sport. Besides, it appears young drivers highly regard Hamilton, as it's not only Lando and Charles who think very highly of him. Fellow British Mercedes driver George Russell also has nothing but admiration for Hamilton, even though the 7-time world champion may have had a streak of terrible relationships with teammates like Alonso and, more famously, Nico Rosberg. Even before joining the Silver Arrows, Russell publicly expressed his displeasure at the controversial decision-making at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that prevented Hamilton from winning his 8th championship. Moreover, ever since he joined Mercedes, he made it clear that Hamilton has pushed him to the limits. I feel incredibly fortunate to be with a team such as Mercedes and teammates with Lewis. He's really pushed me to my limits as a driver. I've learned a huge amount going up against somebody like him in the same car. There's no better reference. If he told me that at the start of the season I'd finish ahead, I would have been incredibly proud and incredibly happy with that, because 9 times out of 10, if you finish ahead of Lewis Hamilton, you're probably going to be world champion, Russell said. But while George seems to be enjoying his time as Lewis's teammate, Valtteri Bottas didn't, as he didn't seem to embrace the British driver as a teammate. After being Hamilton's teammate for 5 years and leaving Mercedes, Bottas went on to say, "I just feel a bit happier in life overall. This 2022 season is probably the most enjoyable so far. Okay, maybe you don't always remember things, but it really feels like I'm enjoying F1 more than ever." Even though Bottas, alongside Hamilton, won 5 straight Constructors' Championships, he was always signed to 1-year contracts at Mercedes and never felt like he had a strong enough voice in the team, given that Hamilton was the dominant driver. Speaking about his time as Hamilton's teammate, the Finnish driver revealed his dark experiences as well, saying, "You lose the joy in things, and I just completely lost the joy of F1 and racing in F1. I was almost angry at F1. At the end of 2018, I almost stopped. It was so close, just because of the fact that I couldn't understand and take the fact that I couldn't beat Lewis in those 2 years. I put so much pressure on myself. Towards the end of 18 especially, when I started to have the support role in the team, I really couldn't take it. I really struggled. It was not fun. The last 4 or 5 races of 18 were more painful, because you should enjoy F1, and it is pretty cool, but it wasn't that at all," Bottas said. But while the 7-time champ can be a nightmare to his teammates, it appears to be an inspiration for some drivers as well, particularly a driver who's from Mercedes' arch-rival team. Sergio Perez had a significant role in Verstappen's 2021 victory, as he held the British driver up until Max caught up. But while discussing the circumstance that prevented Hamilton from winning a possible 8th title, Perez said, "Hurting someone in a world championship is something you do not want to do. But at the end of the day, I've done it for my team. I'm sure that Hamilton himself will understand it very well. I have done everything more than for Max, for my team. Obviously, I was in a position where I had not much to lose. It's not a place that you want to be in. But at the same time, I will always put my team above anything." Damn. I wonder what he thinks about Red Bull now. But Sergio also very much credited Hamilton for pushing him to raise his level of performance. "The race I had with Hamilton, literally against him, I was fortunate enough to see how good he is. The way he pushes you at the time that he does push you, and then when he saves his tires, he's obviously a very, very intelligent guy," Perez said. Unfortunately, Perez's respect for Hamilton might seem partly related to the fact that he never had an intense battle for the championship with Hamilton, but many who had to dropped all forms of morality aside. And a good example is, of course, Max Verstappen. Max and Lewis, Lewis and Max. What a season-long battle they had in 2021. This also includes having multiple collisions, as well as having provoked and unprovoked jabs at each other. A good example was at the 2021 Austin GP, when Hamilton took the inside line into the corner, and Verstappen responded by giving him the middle right finger, and also called him a stupid idiot on the radio. The rivalry was reignited once more during the 2022 Formula 1 season at the Silverstone track, when Charles Leclerc and Hamilton engaged in a wheel-to-wheel duel, and Hamilton suggested that Leclerc handled the situation way better than Verstappen because he was a more sensible driver. Verstappen, meanwhile, didn't waste any time in giving a savage remark to Hamilton, saying, "I think it's quite nice that at 37 years of age, you can still learn how to hit an apex. He is learning, so that is positive. It's also good for younger drivers to know that you're still learning when you're 37 years old." Damn, that was brutal. But despite Hamilton and Verstappen's continual verbal jabs, Verstappen reveals that he respects all of Hamilton's accomplishments, but he feels that Hamilton does not show him the same respect he deserves. "People have told me that he doesn't use my name. I was always taught that you have to respect what people have achieved in sport. I have no problem with what Lewis has achieved. He's one of the best ever. I know it's not only the car he's been driving. That helps. We all know that. But you still have to beat your teammate, and Lewis has done that consistently. I think you have to acknowledge the person has done an amazing job as well." Verstappen's opinions on Hamilton are no doubt influenced by the fact that they are arch rivals. But another driver on the grid, who isn't necessarily Lewis's rival, has a different view on the British driver. Since Lewis Hamilton won his 7th championship, his name has been pitted against F1 legend Michael Schumacher, and because of the German driver's long-standing medical condition, his son, Mick Schumacher, had to deal with a comparison. But eventually, he gave the strong verdict everybody wanted to hear. For me, he, talking about his father, is the all-time best in this sport, to which he's given his all. I don't see why I should disregard that. But along with having close friendships with fellow countryman Sebastian Vettel, Mick also acknowledged that Lewis is another driver with whom he likes conversing with and getting advice from. He's always been very open to giving advice to help me in the position I was in. It's definitely nice knowing that when he had time, he was able to talk to me about certain things. Those conversations are obviously private. Some of it is related to racing, but most of it is just on a friendly basis. But regardless of how Lewis is regarded well by most drivers, it is undeniable that most, if not all, of the drivers have shown disrespect to another driver on the grid. And one of those drivers who's shown more disrespect than anyone else in recent years is none other than Lewis's rival, Max Verstappen. Given his shocking disrespect to his teammate Sergio Perez, you may be wondering, which other driver has he ever disrespected? One time, he disrespected an F1 veteran by saying that he needs to go back to school. And another time, he even got physical with an F1 driver. But who are these drivers that he disrespected, and why? I know you're curious to know about this, so just click the video right here.